Alright, so for the third part, it's the end of the series on how to paint steel and iron, stainless steel, cast iron, sorry. I was talking about rust converters, and those things are fairly expensive. Now, my plan is to use that rust converter, which is just phosphoric acid, and then use something like this, like a rust reformer. Make sure it really gets good chemical bond, because I can't sandblast the engine. I don't even have a sandblaster. I need not lots of sand for that, and I don't want to get the engine full of sand, or even a little bit of sand. I want to keep it away from sand. Um, in order to heat it, I would need a big oven, and I would have to have a big enough oven to get an engine in it. So that's sort of out of the question. So I'm left with looking for different chemicals that will allow me to paint the engine. And I don't want to spend $100 on a can of POR 15. And I don't even know if it works. One thing that I found that was very interesting, if you look at classic car engines and transmissions, they actually have paint inside them. So if you look at the Rambler video, I did a video on how the 195.6 AMC engine looks on the inside. It's actually nicely painted, and I did a lot of research, a lot of reading on that. And it's actually electrical paint used on generators, alternators. Oh, I just forgot the actual name of it right now. It's oh, man. Give me 1 second. I got it written down. I always got to forget something else. That's part of the Give me just 1 second. Gliptol. I just remembered. Didn't even find it here yet. Gliptol. That's what it's called, and that's actually a brand, but it's called. It's actually a brand, but it's called insulation paint. I actually don't have it here, but it's called insulation paint, and the famous brand is Gliptol. I've seen it. If you get it, Gliptol, it's very expensive. If you get another brand, it's a bit cheaper. But my thinking is, if that stuff works for over 50 years inside an engine, imagine what it does outside. So it works inside a transmission, which is constantly full of oil inside an engine, constantly full of gasoline, hot oil, and all sorts of acids from the oil, and so it is some pretty incredible durable stuff. So it's definitely, it seems to me like that's the best option for sure. So if it lasts that well inside an engine, imagine outside an engine. So it's resistant to gasoline, oil, diesel, whatever. That's exactly what you want, because most of these paints, you put oil or you put gasoline, that stuff on it, it'll destroy it. So I'm still gonna look for that stuff. That's best bet. And it's from all the accounts that I've heard, you cannot remove it chemically. Once that paint is on, it's on, which is exactly what I want. I want it to be a one-time thing. I don't want to ever have to do it again. Sorry, it's called insulation enamel. It's an enamel paint. And obviously you don't really need it inside an engine, but it is good to have because some engines, if left too long without running, it can actually start to develop rust inside. And I mean, it's always good to have that there, but not really on the inside, but definitely outside. I really want to get that stuff good on the outside. But depending on how much it costs, it's going to be one of those things that I might not be able to do it. So I'll find out. I think I pretty much covered that aspect. At the end of the day, there's still plenty of space around the engine bay. Paint cracks off like it did before. I can just repaint it. It's not a huge big deal. Now, I've heard of people using a high temperature paint. I tried it myself. I tried the trim clad stuff. And that is garbage. Stay away from that. I followed exactly what the manufacturer said. If you got luck with it, if it works for you, I mean, go ahead. I'm never buying that stuff again. And you see, their normal paint works fine. I painted the Rambler with it. Normal stuff. Normal paint is fine, but their rust paint is fine. But their high temperature paint is garbage. Stay away from it. That's my advice. I've painted. I've painted an cast iron stove with another paint spray can, and it works really well. I'm gonna just give me 1 sec. Never mind, we'll leave that for another video. Got it somewhere. My point is, if you go to the automotive section, they'll have high heat enamel, engine enamel. Now, which one gets hotter, an engine or a barbecue, a stove? Well, a stove gets about 2 to 3 times hotter than an engine. So you have your answer there. So I found that barbecue high temperature paint, barbecue for stoves, it actually works much better than the one from the paint spot, from the paint automotive paint section, and it's actually much cheaper. Time for, I think pretty much I've covered. So that means I don't need high temperature paint on the engine. I need it on the exhaust, but not on the engine. So galvanizing the exhaust sort of works whenever it's really high temperature, really close to the engine. It tends to flake off over time. Stainless steel is definitely by far the best, but it is also really expensive, so that's usually not an option. So I've also got this thing here, cold galvanizing compound, zinc rich coating, recoating galvanized steel, sheet metal, and fences. And it says do not prime. Not a lot of information. So it's one of those things. We'll just try different combinations. I'll try just spraying this directly on rust. I'll try spraying directly on clean steel. I'll also try spraying it over this. I'll try spraying this. Normal paint over this. Actually, rust reformer over this. Well, probably not. Just regular paint over this. I'll try spraying this on top of a surface that's being treated with phosphoric acid. So, so just for the engine, just notice how many different options I have for painting. I'm pretty sure I've tried. I just did a small test a while back. I just put a small. The engine was looking horrible anyway, so I just put a dab. I just got a paintbrush, some normal rust paint from Thermoplaid, and I wanted to see if it would burn or come off, and it didn't. So I think I might have some success with that. But the industrial paint will definitely be the way to go, because normal rust paint, it will come off if there's oil, gasoline, or diesel, and those are the stuff that you usually have around an engine. So with that industrial paint, you can just put it on and just not worry about spilling a little bit of gasoline, or you put the oil in and you spill a little bit like you always do, and it ruins the paint. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I'm not sure how well it works on cast iron. You see, the thing is, if it was just cast iron that you just leave in one place and the temperature will always be the same, it would probably most certainly work just fine. But the problem is, in the car, it's actually going to about 100 degrees Celsius. Probably under that, but it's the high change temperature difference that's the problem. All right, so I think enough talking. Let's give this a try. Finish my beer here. Special part of the video is for you girls. Exercise of the day. I just go into boxing. No more cars, no more engines, just this one here. It says you just need a light coat, one coat alone. Try that in cast iron. I'm actually gonna try it. I'll let you guys I think you guys missed that. Sorry. I just did that part there. It's that one. It's for the galvanizing compound. Cold galvanizing compound. Like coat. It smells pretty strong. That's another thing. I found that stronger it smells, the better it works. It doesn't smell, it won't work. Stuff up phosphoric acid. It's green. So you see this stuff is actually the same stuff. You'll look at they'll sell a big pail of rust removing liquid. The idea is you put stuff in there, steel stuff, and it'll react with the rust. And this is actually the same thing. Now with the nitric acid, if you leave it on for over an hour, if you don't rinse it off, it will just go back to a lot of rust. It'll rust it even more. This stuff, the advantage of this stuff is that the rust that it forms, it's a strong rust. It's you can actually paint on it. It's called a phosphoric. I forgot the chemical name now. Reaction of iron with phosphoric acid. Some sort of chemical name there that I don't remember. So use the same stuff. It's green potion. Shouldn't have got that much. This is just for testing. I'm not really going to use this thing here. Right, I'm going to try some on the ground there, on some old rust and some heavy rust. There. Doesn't smell strong at all. It should smell stronger once it starts reacting. Oh yeah, I can smell that. Another idea. The nitric acid is really strong. It's pretty strong stuff. It'll start, don't even think about putting it inside an aluminum spray can. Sorry, a paint gun. It'll start eating it up instantly. So here's the thought. What if I do nitric acid and then phosphoric acid? I think that's on second thoughts, I think that's overkilling it. Nitric acid might react with phosphoric acid. It says I should rinse that off, but what if I just leave it? I wonder what will happen. I have to try to find out. So I want to leave it reacting until it dries. And I'm gonna try applying some of that stuff on it while it's still wet, and then after it dries. So it's still wet here. I wonder what will happen. You have a better bond, worse bond. There, way to go, painting my hose. Let me just clean that off. Wait. Just gonna go ahead and paint this cast iron head. Right away I can tell that painting it over while it's wet might not be such a good idea. Looks like it's forming like a layer. I can see it sort of peeling off. But I'm gonna wait till it dries. Meanwhile, I'm gonna paint just here some more. Towards the end of the day here, so it's not as warm. I wish I could have done this earlier, but there's a lot of noise going on here. Neighbors. And let's give that a try. That's just. I wonder if this is actually cast iron. I'm gonna try this on some clean steel as well. Spots of steel here. Tire changer. And then I'm gonna head over to the Rambler. I can already see a difference here. With the zinc compound, galvanizing compound on the steel part, it's taking a lot longer to dry, and it's more, it looks wet, which is not good. See how it's got a dark spot on it? Sorry, not that one. That one there. So it's not really being absorbed, but the cast iron there is absorbing it really nicely. As you can see. So about to dry, so we'll have to wait a little while for this. Whatever what it says here about wait time for dry. Alright, so this here says here, do not apply to surfaces that exceed 93 Celsius. So I should be able to put this on an engine. The engine will not, this is 200 Fahrenheit. You see I might be pushing it. Thermostat is a 195 Fahrenheit thermostat, so it's pretty much, oh, look at that. I hate that goddamn noise. Stupid little motorcycle. Big guy on a tiny little motorcycle. I don't know how that, more like a, that's ridiculous. First, the surface must be clean, dry, and free of oil or grease. Clean with soap and water, rinse and let dry. The applied surface will turn black. Recoat is not required. One coat is sufficient for paint. I wonder if they sell this in the can. I got some spots there on the Rambler. Some spots where it's actually bare metal. Bare steel. What I'll have to find out is if we can apply paint to this galvanizing compound here. So clean that up a little bit. Spot down there. Wonder how well it works over old paint that's been partially sanded off with, grinded off with the wire wheel. Try to get that spot there too. That spot there, I'll try to get it. You won't be able to see it. Well, actually, hang on. You will. You will be able to see it. If you guys appreciate the effort I do to show this stuff to you guys. You'll sort of see it. Oh, there you go. That's pretty good right there. Try the galvanizing compound on that. Not some of that residue from the welding. I'm gonna have to sand this later, but I just want to do a quick test. Doesn't work, I'll just wire wheel it off.